Hello, hello, and welcome everyone to our next session here. Awesome speaker, Ruth. You've been on for a few other times, and it has always been excellent. And I love the way you present, and just your soul and your passion is just really awesome for this profession. So I'm excited to have you do this. And for those who are watching and listening, we were already laughing and stuff in the green room. I love those moments beforehand. But without further ado, take it away, my friend.
All right. Thanks, Ricardo. All right. My name is Ruth Lagerquist. I always have to take a breath between the first and last name, even though it'll be our 47th anniversary in a week. That last name with three syllables just totally gets me every time. So Ruth Lagerquist. All right. I'm coming to you live from my basement. Isn't that fantastic? And I want to talk about our little agency up here. We're a tiny, tiny agency. We're in severe Northeast Montana. So you've got Canada and North Dakota, and this is us up here. So we touch Canada and touch North Dakota. So we've got a lot of issues and a lot of things that we have to make work because we are up there. And it is actually a lot of fun to network and talk to North Dakota and see what North Dakota is doing, because my dad always called us West Dakota because we're way off in the Nowhereville. We have a population of 3,500. That's 3,500 in the whole county, about the size of Connecticut. So we are tiny, tiny, tiny. We have a single dispatcher on at any given time. And right now we're at our minimum, 4 people, including myself. We usually have 4 full-time dispatchers and 1 director, and then we'll have an intermittent. So I'm hiring 1, maybe 2. So if anybody's interested in coming up here, I always say we live where people want to vacation because it's so nice and quiet up here and so laid back. Yeah, come on up, Roxy. So we're kind of away from a lot of things. We don't have fancy stores here. It's an hour and a half away to fly out anywhere, and we fly out in North Dakota, and that's where the closest McDonald's is. So we're kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and I love it here. I absolutely love the quiet. I love the silence, and that you can see the whole sky. And we've had some absolutely fantastic auroras up here. Northern lights are just been going nonstop up in this area. So it's absolutely wonderful. But anyway, tiny little agency. The last director and I did this for NPEF a couple years ago. And I thought it's a good thing to make sure that everybody would see what we could do. Take some of the items that they see here, maybe adjust it for their larger places. I mean, who knows? So we're a small agency. These are my dispatchers, or we're my dispatchers. The girl with the blue hair has moved back to Michigan now, but this is me somewhere in the 90s. That's me at the console. And on the right-hand side, that's me at the Center for Domestic Preparedness. And I got to say, if you haven't been there, it's awesome training. They focus on chemical stuff and radiation and things like that. So I got to test actual nerve agents and anthrax, and they pay for everything except your wage. So it's well worth it. Look under the FEMA partners. Check it out. This is Safira Olson. She was the director up until 2 years ago, and she's the one that worked on this with me. She's now running a grocery store in a small town, just on the border, still in our county. And I had to go up just to watch her cut beef. I just couldn't imagine her cutting beef, but she was. So we started out about 10 years ago. They thought, well, we should have a Facebook page. People want Facebook. And up here, we're a little more old fashioned. So we're going to start a Facebook page. And Safira and and the sheriff, they had this idea, we're going to kick butt and take names, and we're going to show off all the people that have warrants and they're wanted or that's been in jail, and we're just going to do this. And so we were sharing the sheriff's office stuff saying, oh, look at this person in jail, look at this person, we're wanted. And actually it was a lot of old ladies saying, you guys are being so mean, don't be so mean, we don't like you being mean. Some people were calling up and saying, hey, we're lawyers, you can't do that, you can't do that. They're either Facebook lawyers or real lawyers, but you can't do that. So we had to reassess. Kind of took a step back and said, what do people want? People want public safety. People want public information. They want information on roads. They want information that they can help people with. So that's how we kind of changed the focus to that. And I know Roxy does an awesome job on her Facebook and her social media. I'm not much of a social media person, so it's been really hard for me. But there's two of us that try to post something once a week or just a little something just to say hi. So in the beginning, here's our first post. That's the courthouse. We're actually on the right-hand side of that. You're right, my right, you're right. Anyway, there's an area, a wing to the right, and that's where the dispatch center is. So that's 10 years ago, started on that. We've got, with our population of 3,500, we've actually got 2,500 people that like our page, that follow our page. So we know a lot of times it's family members from here, seeing what's going on at mom's place. How's the snow going over there? You know, any issues we need to know about and warn mom about or whatever. So we have a lot of people from out of state. We do have a couple trolls that like to come in and say stuff. So I have to shut off the commenting quite often. The other parts of the county, the other departments in the county have decided we are the go-to. So when they post something on their Facebook page, they make sure we share it too. So they'll call up and say, hey, share it up. So that works really well. One of the first things we did was a logo contest. And we had quite a few send in a logo. And the ones we chose, we had the public choose. And the ones that were chosen was the one at the top left, that with that circle, and then the one in the far right. These were done by people that are graphic designers by trade, but have a local connection. So mom or dad, hey, they're looking for a logo. You're a graphic designer. Design, son. So that was pretty cool. We made some t-shirts. I actually use the round logo a lot more because that does translate better to black and white or strictly white to put on a t-shirt. But they're pretty cool. Yeah, we were pretty happy with that. Some of the things when we like to put things on, and I don't know if you scroll through your Facebook, but I'm more likely to stop at a picture. So we like to put pictures in there. And the picture may be a little bit off center. It might be a little weird. I've done some things on What 3 Words, National 911 Education Month. Hey, we're going to have a solar eclipse. Here's a link to what you should do and shouldn't do. It's pretty interesting. So I feel it does work, that the pictures do make a difference. And we try to post something maybe once a week just to keep on their radar. If you do something more than once a day, even, we do have an organization locally here that she'll post 6-8 times a day. They're starting to just ignore that. So you've got a finite little area. It depends on your people, how often they want to see it. We like to post for awareness down in the bottom right corner. That's an actual flood through across the highway through one of the towns. And the one right above it with the snow, that is one of our actual roads. And the top is one of our actual skies. The other two are just kind of off the internet. But this really opened people up. They understood. They could see that. And they'd say, hey, watch out when you're going through Antelope. Be careful. Don't do that. Don't do that. And a lot of people do travel to work, so they need to know if it's going to take 30 or 40 minutes. Come on, there we go. Request for assistance. Hey, I found a dog, I found a cat, somebody stole my granddaughter's scooter. So we post pictures like that too. Recently, we've had an issue with feral pigs coming across the Canadian border, but we had an actual domestic pig reported. So they said, hey, there's this pig, but they determined it was domestic. And Montana has a squeal on pigs hotline. So we posted information on that. We like to post education in the community, and when we go places and do things with the kids, we like to post that. On the left is we're showing our little Quilly, the Quilly Wonka, the hedgehog, and on the right there's a cornhole game that you can print out you can throw the beanbag for 911 and then hit send. That I think is pretty important to teach the kids. Advertising and community events. We had a first responder pumpkin decorating contest and had quite a bit of responders. We had EMS, we had fire departments, all of our dispatchers made one. So that worked out pretty well. We're hiring, of course, as is everybody. And you can see Rebecca, who used to be a graphic designer, made us up a hiring poster. Now, granted, she focused it on her with her blue hair and her dispatcher number, and so that was pretty. And when she left, we had a little party, and we posted, "Hey, she has left." And so I don't know if you can see what the pumpkin is on the right-hand side there, but that's supposed to be a skeleton hand holding a phone. And the Behavioral Health Coalition up here had a pumpkin contest this year, and that was our entry, and we won, by the way. We like to highlight community appreciation. Somebody sends us flowers. Thank you for taking care of my mom. Somebody sends us food. Meat and cheese tray is awesome. A lot of times we get the leftovers for the cookies and sandwiches from the blood draw. So that's pretty nice. Leftovers are good too. Share our accomplishments. Rebecca was Montana Telecommunicator of the Year last year. So we have her up there. I had an EMS award. Safira went through the CMCP for Nina. So, when we do something awesome, we like to share it. We also got our mascot, Mr. Quilly Wonka. He hasn't a name yet. So on our Facebook page, we said, hey, let's name him. We had a lot of names. I wanted to name him Pierce McGillicuddy. And if you want to know why, send me an email and I will explain the whole thing. But I thought Pierce McGillicuddy would be perfect. So let's talk about our dispatch mascot. Once we got a name, which he was Quilly Wonka, everybody voted. Definitely the front runner was Quilly Wonka. We had chosen, Rebecca took 2 hedgehogs, a male and a female, and we played with him and decided which one we liked. The one liked people better than the other. So we chose him, and he had a big old cage in there, and it was kind of nice on night shift having someone there with you. When you clean the cage, we'd put him in the little ball, and he'd roll around. We got him rolling around one day and forgot him for about 4 hours, and he was kind of tired because he just keeps going. He's like the Energizer Bunny. He's in the possum family, so it's not like a rat. They're not rodents. They're in the possum family. The quills are protective. They do this thing called anointing, where if they like a smell, they will lick on it and they will foam up and take the foam and smear it on their quills. They are nocturnal. So like I said, he was very, very noisy running on his little runner thing at night. So that was kind of cool. And we did have to have the name. Here he is. These are the pictures that we showed and said, hey, let's name him. This is one of our firemen. Um, he showed up one day and I said, let's take a picture of you with Quilly. So he thought that was pretty funny. And actually, he asked where Quilly was. So we get that a lot when someone comes up. We take photos of him and just for fun, every once in a while, post a picture so people know. We take him out to events, holidays. We post a picture of him during the holidays. So Merry Christmas. Quilly says Merry Christmas. And we made a calendar. We thought we could sell the calendar and donate the money, but we were told we couldn't. So if they wanted to make a donation, they could, but he was pretty cool. We had a professional do the photo shoot. So he was pretty neat. We've taken him to local events. We made hedgehog cupcakes with the kids at one place, and they turned out really, really cute with the chocolate chip eyes and the little hair. Yeah, the calendar was done a couple years ago. It was pretty cool. And he's a movie star. I want you all to know he's a movie star. Safira and I decided we needed to do a movie. And I tried to involve everybody, but nobody was too excited. So on my dining room table, I had made this little stage in a box and changed it for every little section. And he's stinking cute. He's really stinking cute. This is the link to his YouTube channel where the movie is. It's about a 7-minute movie. And during the fair one time, we parked our trailer out there and we made popcorn, and the kids got a glass of popcorn and they got to go in and watch Quilly's movie. And it was so cute because they're watching, they're just right involved, and we talk about safety and stuff. And he's like, oh, Quilly, put on your seatbelt. Oh, no, Quilly, don't go across the street. These kids were so stinking cute. And they were just into this. I would say it's the 5 to 7-year-old ones were just totally excited. So go check out. It's still there. His movie is still there. So, but unfortunately, this year in August, Quilly came to the end of his life. They usually live about 3 to 8 years. So he was 5. 5 years is still a pretty good time. He did spend some time with one of our dispatchers' families, and they took very good care of him. But one day he just wasn't. So Quilly's no more, but we have all the Quilly memories. Next, I'd like to talk about our mobile PSAP. We didn't have any place to go for a backup PSAP ever. They kept telling us, go to the Civic Center. Well, the first aid, the Red Cross shelter would be at the Civic Center. The city council would be at the Civic Center. The commissioners would be at the Civic Center. There just is no room for it. So we were able to get the funding through the 911 funds to purchase a trailer. And we had it kitted out and made ready for what we needed to, if we needed to evacuate. The trailer was delivered in, I think, 2017, and it was made by a place in Indiana. Pretty awesome. We use it mostly for trainings and things, but the first training, we had to have laptops to figure out how those worked. We contacted our 911 vendor and said, hey, we need something that we can take out there. So they hooked us up with a Command 1, all in a big box and everything. We've got a lot more now, so we can access, if the courthouse is still standing and the server is still going, we can access our CAD remotely. We can access the radio remotely. But we do have a radio. We have 2 radios with one of the pager that is installed in the trailer itself. We've used it for multi-agency trainings. We had the National Guard come up and respond to a training on, I think it was hazardous material and a terrorist and whatever. And because we're up by the Canadian border, we had Border Patrol. So Border Patrol was out there training with us with their um, drones and everything. So it was quite the training. Also, during COVID, we had a girl that had COVID, and 2 of us had been exposed to her. So she was sick at home, and we had to work. So where do we work? We can't come into the building. COVID rules say no, don't do that. So Safira and I were the 2 that had to work. And she said, "Where would you feel comfortable? I'm on night shifts. She's going to do days. Where would you feel comfortable?" And I said, "You can park it in my driveway." So they did. So this was parked in the middle of my driveway. My husband's doing the backup thing, and we're all getting it organized. And I'd walk into the house and go to bed and sleep, and walk out of the house the next night ready for the next shift. And my husband went to work at like 3:30 in the morning. He was janitor at the courthouse, and he'd bang on the side of the trailer on the way out. So we worked there for about a week in our trailer there. And there's the corner of my garage. But we had it all set up. You can see that the Command 1, the 911, and all that was all set up. We've had it out to the fair. We brought our 911 command out and made phone calls and showed people how the phone call worked. So that was pretty cool to share that and explain to people how things work. So they know they're not just getting a phone, they're getting location, computer, whatever. So that was pretty cool. And we gave away a lot of swag using our logo. Like I said, this logo works really, really well with just the white, or in this case, red. We had them coloring. I had drawn up some coloring pages and then got some from the internet, so the kids got to come in and color if they wanted to. And we just explained what we do, how we do it. If you have any questions. We were in the fair parade, had a big old banner across there. We did a first responder marathon. I think it was a half marathon. And the swim team from local swim team, they helped with it, and they were quite involved, and they did the running. The local Elks helped with the water along the way. So we involved quite a few people there, lots in the community. But there's more. You don't have to buy things like that. You can have, if you have strengths and things that, find out what your people do. Does this person draw? Have them draw a really cool coloring page. Does this one like to do the Facebook? Does this one like that? That's a great thing. So take your talents and strength and imagination and volunteers. Ask for volunteers. They're more likely to want to do things. We all decided on a motto, and we painted it on the wall, and we put all our pictures out on the front by the window where you walk up to the window, so they know who they're talking to, and who they're talking to is actually a person. We participated in some of the community fun things. So they have donkey basketball, and if you've never had donkey basketball before, you sit on a donkey and try to get it in the basket. Well, you see a couple people are short. They had a hard time getting up on the donkey. But this is our first responder donkey basketball team. We have a commissioner, we have couple of dispatchers, we have sheriff's office, we have highway patrol, Montana Highway Patrol, we have U.S. Border Patrol. It was really a lot of fun. And then one year, I think it's the FFA at the school organized it, and they had a bubble ball. So you climb in the bubble, and I don't remember what they're supposed to do, soccer or something. So there's bubble ball, and that's our first responder bubble ball team. We can visit schools and the senior centers, and I take an old, if you can see it close enough, I take an old rotary phone, which, by the way, does still work, right? It does still work. And the kids were just fascinated by the rotary phone. I had to laugh because it wasn't 3 days later, I got a call from a little kid. He found a rotary phone in the basement out at his grandpa's farm, and he wanted to see if it worked, and it did. It really did. We went to all the age groups, and the kids that were fifth and sixth grade were quite interested in our text to 911. So we passed around a cell phone, and they got to text to 911, and the poor gal that was working got all sorts of weird texts saying, I don't know what my location is, just find me, things like that. So we like to go over to the schools, and I think it's good for them to learn that we are good people. This is who you call. We've had a lot of problems recently with young adults and older teens. They don't think about calling 911. They call mom. One about 12-year-old was in an ATV accident with her friend. And they weren't hurt bad enough not to be able to walk to the house, but they called dad. Dad was in the next county over. So he calls 911 and he gets the next county over. Well, that didn't help much. We had no location information. So it was hard to find them. We had another one that was in North Dakota. He called his boss. I think I'm having a heart attack. The boss is sitting just barely in Montana grabbing lunch at the little town right on the border. So he calls 911 and he gets us. And he says, we're by this he's by this town. So we send it over to one PSAP over there in North Dakota. That's where the town is. Turned out he was about 6 miles north of that town in a different county. So they've been trying to blame it on the 911 system that there was this delay. And I said, no, the system works right. It's the people that ain't. So we're trying to get more education out there. With the 5K run, we had a nice little Quilly practicing on the little treadmill. That's his baby treadmill. He was getting ready for the run. We gave away medals, and we had swag, we had water bottles, things like that. And our graphic artist gal made up a really nice little logo, put it on t-shirts. So that was pretty fun. And we like to follow the little trends. I mean, the kids really got a kick out of this one. Paint the rocks. So we painted a pile of rocks and put it with a card that says, hey, bring it up to dispatch and you'll get a prize. So they would bring it up, and then we'd give them a t-shirt or give them some sort of swag. And then they had the option whether they wanted to go and hide the rock again. And most of them did take that option, but it was pretty cool. We showed the police handcuffs and the fire, and yeah, that was pretty neat. And the kids enjoyed that. And I suppose the age group there was 10 to 12 because they were out on their own and finding it on their own. Mom didn't help them on that. So we tried to connect with that one. Swag. Everybody likes the swag. The little kids, we've used the stuffed animals quite a bit for forensic interviews. They get a nice little stuffed animal, and then they know if they're in trouble or there's a problem, they can call 911. We've gotten sunglasses, pens, pencils. We like to get the glasses or the pencils that change color with the heat, the color changing one, the mood rings, if anybody remembers the mood rings. And we've made some of our own t-shirts because we had a heat press in there and got the vinyl and got the vinyl cutter. So we've done a lot of this ourselves. Works out really well. So, and if you can't buy it, make it. Here's the t-shirts we made ourselves. We had quite the assembly line going. Somebody's weeding, somebody's putting this on, somebody's heat setting it. Worked really well. Made little Quilly stockings and put some candy in it. So the kids got to take that home. Made some little t-shirts out of some character animal drawings. So you can do it in a lesser amount. If you can come up with something. And we went to the fair. So we loved going to the fair. Rebecca was doing the little airbrush tattoo. And we were in the fair parade. And then we had the popcorn. And it's a good place. We've had kids stop by and say, I'm lost. I don't know where my mom is. so we can help them find somebody. So it's kind of a good spot for that. We do on the other end of the fairgrounds, the EMS does have a tent too, but this was right in the middle and it worked out really well. Or somebody'd stop by and say, hey, do you see so-and-so? And because we're in such a small town, small area, we know so-and-so. We know everybody. So that worked out really well. And they recognized our trailer. And our trailer is pretty awesome. It's about a 19-foot trailer, I think, from front to back. And I think that includes the hitch. With chairs inside. We had some older lady there that was getting a little bit of heat stroke. So we put her inside and turned on the air conditioner. And we had the nice little awning out. So that's a big hit at the fair. Takes a little bit to drag it out there, but cookies go a long way for the road department. But stay visible. We don't post as many pictures of us as we used to because we have one dispatcher that really has her own personal reasons for not being on Facebook. But we could figure out a way, even if we have to put a big smiley face over her face. But here we are with different meetings / parties we've had. We had the Let's Talk About Dispatch one, wore our little mustaches, or there's Quilly, or we all have the 911 sweatshirt on. It's pretty fun. Sometimes we're not used to being recognized all the time. It's not like someone stops you in the street and says, thank you so much for being on the other side of the phone. Now, I say that with the caveat that I was just in the craft bazaar a couple weeks ago, and one lady with her shoulder in a splint says, you're the one that was on the phone and sent the ambulance, and thanked me for that. And I believe after 35 years of being in this position or in the dispatch, that might be the first one that someone that I really didn't know well recognized me. But I got to tell you this story about poor Katie. Katie was working and got a phone call from her significant other's mother, almost a mother-in-law, right? And she's way, way, way out in the country. And she starts screaming, hay bale's on fire, send the fire department. And she hangs up. Well, Katie recognized her voice, of course, recognized the location. She gets fire department going. She had a couple other calls on it. And she calls the lady back. And she says, this is Katie at dispatch. And her possible mother-in-law says, I don't care who you are, just get the fire department out here. So she was a little bit confused on that. So here, a lot of times people will put a thank you in the newspaper. It's kind of a public thank you rather than thank you note. So her significant other's sister wrote up this really nice thank you. We had some other ranchers that showed up with food and water for the firemen. The brother-in-law of her boyfriend, he stayed up all night with them watching the hay to make sure that things didn't start more on fire. These people come and did this, and all the fire department showed up and helped out with this. So here's this nice thank you. Thank you to the fire department. Thank you to the other ranchers. Thank you to the son-in-law. Thank you to this and thank you to that. Even her boyfriend's name down there, Shane, is on there. So it's Shane and his parents own the ranch. If you can read it, and I hope you can, the dispatcher and Katie is not even mentioned. So you can have that close connection, and they don't even think that this is what you do. A little story about my dad. He laid carpet, and he in another town in Montana, and he was laying carpet at the Border Patrol station there in Havre, and he was doing it in dispatch, and he was telling me about it later, and he said, "Oh, it was so cool. They answer the phone and they do this and they're on the radio." And I said, "Yeah, Dad, I do that." "Oh yeah." And then they send their officers out and they do this. And I said, "Yeah, Dad, I do that." And he never did it never did hit him that that is what I do. Only I do it for everything, not just border, not just the US Canadian border. So it was so funny. He's, "Oh, and it was so awesome." And I said, "Yes, I do that." So our families don't really recognize what we do or how we do it. They just know that we're tired when we get home. Sometimes it's been a bad day. Um, I don't know. They're not going to, and we don't need to make them. But even if we're not always recognized or remembered, we're still here, and we can show that we care and we care about the community. So we also have Grumpy Cat. We had a sticker that was on the wall, and it was a cat. So I just decided he needed to be decorated. So we decorated him for every season. So we have, I did it once a month for a while there, and then I had a nice big collage made. So here's old Grumpy Cat, and he's just a sticker on the wall. He's pretty cool. We have April showers, and then we have a lot of motorcycles that come down from Canada and come through town, and they're heading down to the big motorcycle rally in South Dakota in Sturgis. So here we go. It's Sturgis time. So I had to decorate that. And then we had Father's Day. And so poor old Grumpy Cat. People like to see him on Facebook. Got a big kick out of that. Grumpy Cat has now developed into a metal cutout. So we have a metal cutout that we can dress a little bit better. This poor guy, his whiskers started falling off the edge of his tail because I'd stick stuff underneath it. But that was just fun. We had it over by our motto, and you could come to the front window and see it. So even in person, we have some impact. People would come and check it out through the window, and ooh, Grumpy Cat looks pretty grumpy today. So anyway, that's pretty much us. We're a tiny agency. We do a lot, I think, for as few people as we have. And we know a lot of people. I know a lot of the older people in town. I've taken the calls, and when you think about it, I'd look at the obituary and, okay, so here's this guy. Yeah, I took that call. Here's another obituary. I took that call. Oh, somebody's telling me about how this gal fell down, and I'm thinking, yep, I took that call. So we do know our people. We know their names. We know the ones that have the issues, that have the mental issues, or the ones that have the suicidal issues and things like that. And we know to keep track of that. I got a call one time about a fella, and they said, "Oh, he's really acting strange, this. Well, I knew he was a brittle diabetic. So, of course, I immediately sent EMS because I knew he was a diabetic. And that's what was happening. He was having a diabetic episode of some sort. So we get to know each other, and we know everybody, but we want to keep people remembering us so that when they call, quite often, unfortunately, some of my dispatchers don't appreciate it, but they'll call up. They know I work there, and they'll say, "Is this Ruth?" "No, it's not Ruth." So they get a little bit frustrated. But I had a lady call, and she was so embarrassed. She had fallen down and hurt her hand, and she couldn't drive herself to the hospital. Otherwise, she was perfectly fine, but just couldn't drive herself to the hospital. And she called her son, and he goes, "I'm out of town." So she calls up, and she goes, "Oh, Ruth, I am so glad you're working." So, yeah, I visited with her until the ambulance came, and she was, when people know us, small agency, and they know us, it makes the job harder sometimes, and makes the job easier sometimes. So I don't know if anybody has any questions. I'm done a lot quicker than I thought I would. And I say a lot and say stuff that really isn't great, but okay.
No, this was excellent. Thank you so much for this, and I love really how you are doing everything there. There are 3 questions in here that I'm gonna go ahead and go over with you. So
Okay.
let's go with this first one. It'll jump on screen here as well. And the first question here is, what does the schedule, I guess, look like with 5 dispatchers?
Yeah. Well, we work 12-hour shifts. So the minimum we can do with and we have built-in overtime. So we work 12-hour shifts, 3 on, 3 off. So one week you might have 36 hours, but the next week you'll have 48. So you'll get 8 hours overtime that week. So it gives us a little bit more than if we just worked 40 hours. And the commissioners are fine with that, which is helpful. So the minimum to run that shift is 4. We have one team of 2 and another team of 2 that and then we rotate every 5 or 6 weeks, the way the 3 on 3 off works. So our minimum basically is 4. Usually we have 4 full time to fill those, and then the director that does all the background stuff, and then the intermittent that fills in for vacation and stuff.
Awesome.
So right now I'm night shift full time till we can hire someone. Up here we've had a really, really small unemployment rate traditionally, and now it's even smaller. So if they don't have a job, they don't want a job up here.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
All right, excellent. So the next one here, which I will say I was not expecting the ending, but rest in peace, Quilly Wonka. Which your guys' names, like the names are great. So I'll go ahead and ask this next one here. So it says, with Quilly Wonka, have you noticed any difference in morale at the center or with events in the community, positive or negative? What were some of those things that were going on during that time?
Okay, with Quilly, the events were awesome, especially the kids. We went to an event in the park, and they'd want to touch Quilly. And one little boy, thank goodness we were close to the ground, he'd go and he'd feel that I'd put him in his hands, and the little boy would freak out and drop Quilly. So I had to be very careful. Kids love him. Adults love them. And it's funny because somebody will come in and they'll try to pet it like a dog. Well, those are quills. They're not going to poke you and hurt you, but he is a little bit spiky.
Mm-hmm.
So that was in the center. It got a little bit tougher. We had one gal that did not like him at all, refused to touch the cage. We had to make a point to clean his cage once a week or so. Because he does stink after a while, and you just got to clean it out. And that was okay. I didn't mind cleaning it out myself. I just didn't like to be the one that always had to clean it out. So there were 3 of us that would kind of rotate. One gal, she says, "Oh, he bit me." Well, I don't think he bit her, but she thought he bit her, so she wouldn't touch him either. So we had 2 that really didn't. Now, I appreciated hearing him run on his little treadmill thing. That was kind of fun at night, because our courthouse is haunted. So it was kind of nice to have somebody else there after the officer went home or was out in the car.
Oh man.
So,
Yeah.
once in a while you take him out and play with him. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, very cool then.
We have a good haunting though. It's not an evil haunting. So
well, even better then, as long as it's a good one, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The next question here, or third and last question here, is any recommendations for swag if there is no budget for it?
Well, if there's absolutely no budget, I don't know quite what you can do. It depends on what the situation is, or if you're going to a presentation or something like that. We can use, in Montana, we can use 911 funds for promotion for education. We're allowed to do that. And so that's what we would do. Yeah, I don't know. You just have to think about what people would like. I mean, shoot, just make popcorn, make cookies, and just take the cookies.
There you go.
People are happy to get anything, and some people don't want swag. They don't want stuff to take home. They've got a lot of crap, they don't want more stuff. So it just depends. The sunglasses are a couple bucks a piece. Find a good place to get things if you can, and if you can afford any. If you can't, you can't. There's just no money. You just have to use imagination to try to figure it out. I am a super cheap budgeter, and I learned that because my family had 6 kids and no money. So to me, budgeting is more of a game.
Mhm.
I can figure out something anyway, but I have a lot going on in here.
Oh, that is excellent. Well, I mean, and if anybody has joined the community as well, you're on there too. So if anyone has any other questions to run by
Yeah.
you, they could probably
I,
do
I,
that as well.
I do want to say something about Quilly. The reason we chose a hedgehog is because I was allergic to cats. We cannot leave our office in the 12-hour shift, so we can't have a dog, can't have anything like that. We couldn't have a bunny because they chew on things. We couldn't have anything that would get out and attack anything, or chew on wires. Can you imagine chewing on a wire and losing radio, losing? But like I said, he's in the possum family, but he was quiet. He doesn't bark, he doesn't meow, he doesn't chirp like a bird. He's quiet. He does hiss if he's not too happy, but it's a quiet
Oh,
hiss. So that's why we chose hedgehog. And they actually don't get they're immune to a lot of diseases too.
damn.
Yeah.
Even more cool.
I
Well,
know, I know. I thought so. You just have to clean the cage. That was really the only problem with Quilly, is cleaning the cage.
man,
And
I
then one more
thinking outside the
comment
box.
from me. I don't know if you have
Yeah.
any other questions, but one more comment.
Mhm.
Anybody that's outside of the US, I would appreciate an email, because I kind of want to have I kind of have some questions, and I just want to kind of connect with people outside the US.
Perfect.
I'll connect with people inside the US too. I don't care. But I just am kind of curious. I'm very curious about how their agencies work and how their PSAPs work, just for curiousness. That's all.
Awesome. And that's exactly why I have the link down there
Yeah,
for people to go into that community as well to be able to
yeah.
do so. But of course, your email is there too, and
And,
we'll
and I
get some more information going.
and I seriously thought about that when I was having a major allergy attack in the middle of Venice, Italy, not knowing what number to call. Apparently, there are different numbers. If you need an ambulance, it's 118. If you need this, it's. So we had to find out where the boat would come get me if I had to go to the hospital, and yeah,
Whoa.
the whole story about that.
Oh man. Well, we're gonna have we'll have to do an episode or something like with that, and to talk about, like Juliet Brown here in the comments says, I want to hear more about this haunted courthouse at some point. So we'll have to do something and get all this information out there. Ruth, it is always a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much,
Well,
and
thank you.
I echo Chelsea over there as well, for just doing great things, and everyone else saying excellent way to represent the smaller
Yeah.
agencies. I always love when that information comes out as well.
Thank you so much. And this is awesome, Ricardo, doing the Dare to Be Great thing. I look forward to it every time. I just love it.
Yay!
It's great.
Awesome.
And I push it, push it, push it. We share everything on the Montana Nina page, and I see there is one guy that in Montana he had said something. Jason,
Yes.
yes. And anyway, I'm glad I come on before Samantha and Roxy, because I know I can't compete.
What? Come on now. Every single one of
Oh,
you have been amazing, and you will
ay,
be,
ay,
and you
ay.
continue to be, Ruth. You continue to be. So thank you
All
for
right.
what you do for
Well,
this profession.
thank you.
So for everyone here, we're going to be jumping into the next session here. That one is going to start at 1:15, and that is going to be with Rebecca Biederman as well as Leslie Whittam, and they're going to be doing a session called "Characters or Castmates: Who is Running your center. So we will
Ooh.
jump into that one here in just a little bit. And Ruth, thank you again. And everyone, we'll be heading to the next one.
Thank you.
See you there in just a moment.